Well, top of the morning to you laddies. My name's Man Buck. Welcome back to the glorious Nebraska Farm series here on Green Valley, Nebraska. Now, don't mind if the game is stuttering. It's a mixture between, I do have a lot of mods on here, but also I did just kind of mess with the weather because it was still technically like the last day of March, and I just skipped it right away to May 1st. So the game's still kind of like, it's thinking about itself for a minute, contemplating if it wants to continue. But, welcome back. As you guys do know, we haven't gotten to planting yet. I have done a little bit of planting, but not much. The biggest part that I have changed, as you guys probably do know, is I had that 3665 Blue Drive planter. Well, I sold that Kinze and I got in favor of a 3600 because even though they're both 16 rows, I did opt for a center fill system on this one instead of just the regular boxes, even though the regular boxes wouldn't have killed me to load 16 bags. But this one, however, had one thing that the other planter did not, and that is row cleaners. I wanted row cleaners on this one since this is my smaller planter of the two. Now, I wanted the row cleaners compared to the Blue Drive, what it used to have, which was basically, it looked like an air drill because it had the 30-inch spacings of 16 rows, but then it had another one right in between that. So I didn't really have an actual planter. It was kind of like an air drill, so I don't know. Just because I'm not a farmer, I would assume that if they're planting with that, they shut off the ones in the middles and they raise them up or something. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know. I'm just going to keep going with what I do know. So this is a 30-inch row spacings, as simple as it gets besides the center fill system. Both the DB120 and the 3600 are pretty much set up. The only thing I might have to do is check the closing wheels on all these, since I don't necessarily know if I set those right. But our air drill back here, this N542C, that is basically just a new version. I kind of swapped it out because the other one was kind of having some trouble. But everything else is pretty much as is. The F450 is right now getting an oil change / just a filter change, so it's not blown up. No, the 6.4 is good. We did opt and get a fill-right fuel tank on the back of the flatbed we can take on and off just so we can keep things going in the field. We know what happened when I ran out of the fuel in the combine twice last year. So we're going to get the 8345R out here, make sure that is prepped. We're going to grab the 9530, get that hooked up to the DB120, get that prepped and ready to go. We're also going to run down to our test plots just about a quarter mile down the road by the Fair Oaks farm because the co-op is pretty much there, set up and ready to go with an 8-row planter setup, as well as all the chemicals and fertilizers and seeds and everything we're going to need to get those planted. So beans, corn, you name it, it's busy season now. I'm going to be planting the home farm here, which this was originally when I got on the map canola, but I'll just say it was beans. So 15 around the house is going to be corn, 14 is going to be corn, 24 is going to be corn, 25 is going to be corn, 26 is probably going to be corn. This entire portion is probably going to be all corn right up in here. 10, 11, and 37 are going to be beans, as well as 34, 36, and 22. Those are all going to be beans since that was basically corn ground last year. 20, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I think that was, I can't remember exactly, but we're going to take care of all of this. So we're going to set up our planters, the DB120, to possibly start working on 15 or 24, give or take. And then we're going to help out the co-op guys down here with the planting of those and getting all of our signs put down so we know which rows, which brand of which hybrid. So let's pack up the shop, get ourselves going, and let's set up our planters and move. So yeah, let's go. Now, if you guys have not already, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below. As you do know, we are on the race to the 100,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year. One big thing we are trying to do is make sure that we put as best of content on the market for you guys to watch as possible, and also start to slightly diversify, but also keeping the feel of the channel all connected like it has been. So I'm trying to make sure everything is playlisted, separated out. I've been trying to restructure how the channel looks, but that is one big thing that I'm really trying to take forward on, is if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. Now, I obviously am not a real farmer, so half the stuff that you guys hear me say is probably going to be cringe, and you're just going to want to smack me because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to admit it. So, either way, we're going to get our moving on here. I think I'm actually going to run down and help the co-op guys with their stuff first, and then we're going to get into the Blue Drive, which I am actually not going to be tilling up my corn stalks from last year. It's Nebraska. We have not gotten a lot of rain where I'm sitting at right now. We've only got about 1.5 inches, maybe 3 inches total overall, but 1.5 inches last week. And I don't have much to pretty much work with on moisture. So I'm going to leave the corn stalks in the ground, no-till into that, no-till plant into that, and hopefully that the moisture still left from the corn stalks is enough for the beans to grow out. But we're going to plant corn first here. So let's get our mule off the trailer, and then we're just going to run that down to the co-op guys, and we'll help those out with getting the test plots ready to go. The one thing I absolutely adore about these mules, I've said it before, I'll say it again. These things are absolute tanks, all right? Do not test me on this. I go into the power sports store in the north part of Lincoln over on the north side of Lincoln, because I'm from Nebraska, so I go to Lincoln. They have this power sports store, and whenever you go in there, yeah, sure, they got the Can-Am Mavericks, they got the Polaris Rangers, they have these all these different Kawasaki trails and anything else under the sun that you can think of for these power sports. And then in the middle of the store, all you see is a bone stock absolute unit of a Kawasaki mule. I mean, we're talking square seats, metal bed, one bench, steel bars straight, absolutely blank on the dash, and you can just tell it is built to last. I mean, these things are absolute beasts. Now, I don't know about this mini one, how tough of it is, but oh, it looks like they're already technically ready to go and get started. Nice. But these things are amazing. I would so get a Kawasaki mule if I could. These things are awesome. But let's just kind of pop in here and get these guys help these guys out, since, as we mentioned, the planting, we shouldn't need to move the irrigation system at all. I will have to get on the computer for that. They're going to have to do the fill-up points, or I'm going to have to do the fill-up points for that down there. But here is our 8-row. I think it's I can't remember how exactly you say this company. Vaderstad? I don't know. Vaderstad, there you go. But it's an 8-row planter system with a dry fertilizer system in the front, which we got to load bags in from our international here. And after shutting all of that stuff off, because sorry about the engines, this is going to be our T6 150 New Holland. So 150 horsepower to run this thing. We might be struggling a little bit, but not too bad. On the back of the Kenworth T880 here, we do have all of our chemicals. So we have the water, we have a base liquid fertilizer chemical. We do have herbicide for later on if we want to apply just a little bit of pesticides, preventive maintenance. And then Pioneer is the one right out here now. But just pretend that this says like Pioneer, DeKalb, Channel, FD, Agro, any of those companies. Just pretend that it says that, okay? I tried. I know they have a mod out there where you actually can have like a Hefty seed pallet, a DeKalb seed pallet, and all those guys. But the problem is that those don't necessarily work, nor have I looked into them enough to see how we can get them to work. But I think this is going to be good enough, because this shouldn't take us too long, nor am I going to stick around the whole time, because I do have my own crops to plant. So let's start out by getting this T6 off the trailer here. I know we don't have anything in our systems for like the hoppers for all of our seed hoppers. Those are empty. This is empty, so we're going to need to fill that with our dry fertilizer bags. And then we're going to have to run over to the Kenworth here, which has its blinker on for some odd reason, and fill up on our seed. So we got a lot to do. Let's get to it. So like I mentioned, this should be a pretty foolproof system. We'll just load roughly as many bags as we need of the dry fertilizer into the front hopper here. So we'll start loading those. I think when I had it strapped down on the trailer, it's going to be like 80% full or something. 64, that's not bad, because I mean, in reality, we're only doing these little chunks, so that's what? 3 passes maybe? So we'll figure it out as we go, but we'll run over to our Kenworth, back up and get loaded up on the seed tender, and we should be able to go from there. So what we're going to do to make this as realistic as possible to where I technically live is about 1.5 miles south of my house. There's actually a test plot, which is where I got the majority of this idea, and they have the different signs for where the different seed companies of different hybrids are placed. So to mark where I am at, I'm going to go into my decorations, others. I got to find my seed signs here. They're kind of in here somewhere. We are going to be planting Pioneers first. So I got to find my Pioneer sign. And these do not say the actual hybrid on them. I was going to do that, but it might just be a little bit easier to try and do this. So we're going to be planting Pioneer on this line. If I can get it. But we have Pioneer right there. We'll do DeKalb on this portion. Peterson seeds. Do them right here. And then we're going to do Asgrow right on this plot. and then channel. So, I believe that is all the ones that we had, and then hefty if we have another one. Hefty we might have to do on one of these segments. If not, we'll probably do him back here on one of these, because I know one of these is going to have to be beans, and then obviously we have our drip irrigation system, and we'll worry about that one later, as that's going to be probably silage corn. If not, I might do some beans or different brome grass types back there. So there's our main portion of seed plots, though. So we have Pioneer up first. So let's get our vacuums on. We should have everything already set with the gauge wheels, as well as the closing wheels and the row cleaners, I believe, that are on this. Yes, sir. So we are planting corn in this segment, that segment, that segment, and that segment. These 5 little portions are all going to be corn. The other side is going to be soybeans, and we'll test all of our different hybrids. So this is the most recommended hybrid that we have for my area, which is more of a dry style of seed. So kind of get our planter going here. And we can plant high speed with this thing. And we'll check and dig. We'll get out and check our depth on that before we start our next pass. Cut off our vacuums. Take out our little, the little digging stick. It kind of sucks it doesn't have the planter texture on it, but we can do whatever. Dig up our path, whatever it was. Sweet, 2.5, 2.25. Good enough for me. Get back in. Drop the planter and go. I mean, we don't have to mess with anything, and it is kind of nice, so. Nope, not that. Alright, let's go. Okay, so now we are up and over on our way / already here to our drip irrigation system. So, the way this is going to work, Hefty wanted to put out a bunch of the silage corn seed that they offer. So they wanted to test that on this for the sake of, there's a lot of runoff that comes off of here. So this is definitely going to be a drier type of seed, so it'll be very tough. But Pioneer is going to have that entire square block to themselves with the beans, so all of our east side plots have been planted corn. We're going to put beans in on the next 5 plots coming this way, but we're going to keep the planter set right now for corn because we're going to plant all 4 of these sections in a Hefty's silage corn. There might be one for channel. We haven't had confirmation yet, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So this, it looks like it's going to be about 2 passes worth, so 16 rows, and the pipe will be fine. We'll get over that, but get our vacuums on, and we're going to lower this, get the rest of our, get the Hefty stuff. They'll get a sign up here for that, and then we'll shift over to our beans. So, without further ado, let's go. So coming back to it now, we do have our confirmation on which seed type is going in our last plot here. That is actually going to decal. So we'll load up on our last round of seed here in a bit. We're going to have to run back to the truck, get those planted, but we do have our 4 signs for decal and Hefty up here, so those should be in line, and I know that they're over there right now getting the bean signs put out. So let's get to it on finishing this up, switching over to beans, and then once we're done with this, we ourselves are going to start going to plant. So we'll be planting around the house first, get that cornfield done. We'll do our headlands with the Kinze, and then we're going to do the brute force of it with the DB120, get that knocked out. So we're going to run back to the truck here quick, get our stuff for decal, as we already got all of the Hefties out. And we'll see you guys back here in a bit. So decal has been planted, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on my water system here for just a little bit so we can get a little bit of irrigation going so they have a little bit of water to start with. So make sure everything is on here. That is pumping. Okay, so we have water now running over the tops on down this field. Now, it's going to be a very slow consistency because of the fact that the ground is dry. We got a lot of cracks, but this will just kind of slowly drip, and I know the runoff's going to be quite a bit, so that bottom side's going to be a lot more wet than this top part. That's the point of this hybrid, so we'll leave that running for about, I think we'll maybe say 2-3 hours, just so we can make sure that the ground is fully soaked. We don't have any rain in the forecast, so we're going to have to rely on this, but it is 9:15 right now, which technically it'd be like 10 o'clock if I didn't do halftime, but it's like 9:15 right now. We'll shut that off at 10 o'clock, and we'll see where we're at with the ground moisture and everything else. So we'll swap over to beans, and then we'll catch you guys back at the farm. We're going to pretty much just get all of our bean stuff done off camera here, but we'll get all this planted. We'll show you guys that, and the next time you'll see me, we'll be back at the farm getting the 3600 and the DB120 out. So let's get to it. We just finished up talking with those co-op boys. They're going to kind of hang out for a little bit, get everything else situated. I am going to get the water system pretty much ready to go on that Zomatics. That way we can make sure that the crop is ready to go. We'll get the irrigation turned on. Yikes. But we're going to make our way back now to the house, and we will get the 3600 out doing the headlands on our house plot right around here. I can't remember exactly. I think it's field 15. Yes, I forgot to turn my HUD back on. That's why I was like, why does this look a little weird? But we're going to get the 3600 working out on the headlands of 15 right here. And while that's doing that, we're going to get the DB160 on the 9530. Load up with seed. Get ready to go. Let's start doing some planting, because I know very well that this is just going to be an absolute bull rush of get as much seed in the ground as we can, as fast as we can. So, without further ado, I see a Kinze, I see some seed. Let's get to it.
Man, I always had stories about the city life and the crazy nights. Figure I should probably give it a try. Maybe check it out, see what it's all about. But the traffic was fast and the money was slow. The people I met you never get to know. I kinda miss this place I used to live back home. Cause up here it's breakneck, paycheck, rat race, what's next? I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. My friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cold night. Hell, and you can keep your 9 to 5. Happy with the simple life. Yeah, I ain't here to try to change your mind, trying to save your time, in case you're thinking about breaking out the bucket list. Girl, you can skip this funny business, cause up there it's complicated and overrated. Down here everything is understated. That's alright by me. I got everything that I need, but there is breakneck, paycheck, rat race, what's next? I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. All my friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cool night. Yeah, you can keep your 9 to 5, cause I'm happy with the simple life.
That's going to do it for this one, guys. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below. If you want to check out more of the Nebraska Farm Series content, you can find the playlist for this series linked in the top right-hand corner right there. Also, be sure to check out the Boomstick Club for all the up-to-date content from me and the gang. You already know who is in it. I'm going to get started by prepping this stuff, getting ready to go to the next field so we can start moving and get planting, because we got a lot of ground ahead of us with only one field done. We'll see you all in the next one. This is the Rental Man out. Peace.